experience with witchcraft. I had, living in the country area where I lived in Alabama at the time, and living in that part of the world at the time, I had no exposure to a lot of magazines or a lot of different things from the outside that area, that small area, very desolate part of the state and different things. I remember just all of a sudden I walked outside and I walked into this nice, beautiful sand pit that I always played in, and all of a sudden it was like a shadow came over me, and I got up and I grabbed a stick. I'd never seen one. I'm serious, sir. I had never seen one. And I drew a complete circle. I put a pentagram in it. It's the face of the Goat of Mendez and everything, and I began to walk around that. All of a sudden I sat right in the middle of it, and I closed my eyes, and I envisioned things that was going on with my father that day. I ran back into the house and told my mother that my father would be arriving late, and he had some business to tend to and different things to go on downtown, way down the road, believe me, and that he would be late concerning issues concerning what he was doing at the time with the farm and different aspects of business. Well, my mom looked at me kind of, did you talk to your dad before he went to work? This was the summertime. I wasn't in school. And I said, no, Mom, I haven't seen Dad since last night when he hugged me around at the supper table to go to bed. Well, my dad got home at pretty much the exact time that I had told my mother. And me and my brother and sister were sitting at the dinner table, and I heard my mom ask my father about these things, and my dad told her, that is impossible. How did you know? He didn't even call. He didn't even call. She said, Patsy came in here and told me. Well, it got quiet in the kitchen. Well, I found myself 2 days later getting my bags packed and sent off to my grandmother's house.
And this was at what age?
13 at this time.
13?
Right, I was 13 at this time, right.
And this was only because you had predicted your dad would be home late?
Yes, sir. I got sent to my grandmother's house, and then that's when she came out and had an old photo album and a lot of letters and a lot of things that were written a long time ago. And that's when I first discovered the bloodline in my family relating to being satanic and being a witch. What
was there in your bloodline? What is the history of your family?
Oh, very evil and very brutal. There was a member of my family that was a warlock way back, and there are some things, Art, I don't want to get too in-depth in for the protection of a lot of people that my family tree has affected. Can you understand that, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It all began way, way back, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to go with an actual date. It would be, I'm just not going to do it. We had a segment of our family off of my mother's side that were pioneers, if you will, in their own right. They traveled a lot and different things, and it came to a point in time where things were just not going so well. They were running out of food and different things, and
yeah, you mentioned starvation.
Right. They came to a point to where it was virtually death was beginning, as illnesses were beginning to set in. One of the members of the family, who shall remain nameless, because it would give away directly into the family tree, and I'm not going to do that, sought help from God. Well, things got worser. And as the days, and there was approximately 10 days here in a period, they began to look at each other, if you will, with eyes of, well, we're getting to the point to where survival is a necessity. We must live to carry on this bloodline. One of the members decided, the hell with it, and called upon the devil. As it was written and told to me that there was a deal cut out with an individual who encountered my family, proclaiming the devil. This individual was a very mysterious person, from what we understand. They virtually, in pure blood, made an agreement that if they would continue and to bring forth a bloodline of witches and warlocks and so on, that Satan would provide them with their needs. Well, the family is here. No one starved to death. Everybody began to flourish, make money. A lot of people in our bloodline became wealthy. A lot of us became very well known and were very active in different political areas back in that area of the country at that time, even resulting even up to now.
Very interesting.
Moment.
I have interviewed, if you've been a listener to the program, you know I've interviewed Malachi Martin, a Catholic priest. Advisor to popes way up in the Catholic Church. He talks of people who are perfectly possessed. People who are wealthy, powerful, politicians, people who are very well-to-do, who are simply perfectly possessed, who have, in effect, made their own pact with the devil.
Yes, sir. That's absolutely 100% correct. You see, when one becomes into the realm of our most unholy and great master, one must become to the realization of the conspiracy of the devil. You see, we conspire to gain vengeance for our master being cast out of heaven. There is no forgiveness of any kind. There is no mercy in our faith. Our master seeks to have victory over God, and by that meaning his people, to wreak chaos, to create havoc, destruction, violence on this planet, to take many as he can away from the arms of God, away from God's kingdom. That is our purpose. Our main goal is not to play, okay, incantation this, spell this. Yes, we do those. And believe you me, when you do it from a satanic point of view, oh, these Wiccans could only understand. If they only knew. That's why I'll challenge them. I'll give my address right now, and you can send 1,000 to my back door.
No, don't give your address.
I know, but I wouldn't mind if 1,000 of them showed up at my back door right now. It would give me great pleasure, great pleasure in that. When one begins to understand what the main purpose and the main goal is, a sense of reality begins to surface its ugly head. And the reality is simply war. We war against the holy and God. As God's people, war to obtain peace and to uphold that which God has set on this world, the foundation that God has built, that they must uphold it, for we must uphold our end of the almighty plan.
What is the plan of Satan? What does he want of this world? Does he want this world to be?
His kingdom, his virtual world, his heaven, if you will. You see, vital existence, Mr. Bell, is so important. And to be vitally existing on this planet means that this planet must become vital. And which is leading me into something here that is really going to set the fires a-burning. We do not, and I repeat, we are the ones who do not pollute this earth. Through governments and through the foundations that have been set, it seems almost like today that unless a political person who's wanting to get up into the hierarchy of politics and government control, if you will, almost seems to have a Christian background of one way or the other, a morally correct, godly point of view, if you will.
All right, Harlot, we're at the top of the hour. Hold on, you've got a good long rest here, and we'll be right back. And when we do come back, I think I'm going to be tempted, perhaps bad choice of words, to ask how many of our politicians have made their pact. She'd be the one to know. Harlot. Her real name is Patsy. She said, go ahead and use it. She lives in all places, you're not going to believe this, in Salt Lake City, Utah. She is a witch, she says. She is a follower of Satan, she says. I have never interviewed anybody who makes these claims, so I wouldn't be qualified to judge the credibility of anybody who would claim to have such following. It's absolutely incredible. We will get back to her in a moment. All right. Patsy, are you there?
I am still here.
All right. Would you prefer, by the way, to be called Patsy or...
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter one way or the other.
All right. There is going to be, I believe this, that there's certain... I believe personally that there is a good and there is an evil. Mm-hmm. And hence there must be a God, there must be a representative of evil, and there is a constant battle going on. You believe that there will be an Armageddon, a final war. In almost all of Hollywood, Harlot, in almost all of Hollywood, when they depict these battles going on, it seems as though the dark side, or the devil, is winning. But in the end, of course, good always triumphs over evil.
Well, in the end, God will win. Whatever he is, which brings up a topic I want to talk about God and itself, Satan, and everything being alien, and so forth.
Well, if in the end God will win, why does Patsy want to be on the losing side?
I have always, my entire life, had an incredible urging for the underdog, if you will. And when I mean the underdog, I mean the ultimate underdog. I feel in my heart what God did was unjustified and how he punished Satan. I feel that the structure of Christianity, the structure of the church, the structure of the godly belief itself is unjustified. I think that as human beings we are unfairly punished at the hands of a creator who is not perfect, who is very fallible and has made many mistakes along the way. Jesus said, every time I say that name, he said, for the Father in heaven knoweth all things, past, present, and future. If you take that literally, then that means that God, literally himself, knew of everything the devil would do, that human beings would do, from the point even beyond creation itself. I firmly hold to that. That I believe that God is responsible and the blame. And if I, as a human being who opposes him and upholds the other side, if I myself could put God on trial, I would find him, if I could, as jury and executioner, guilty on crimes and be punished for crimes against this planet and the human race. I would find him guilty and condemn him to eternal death. That's how much I despise him.
Let me read you a couple of faxes before we get to calls. Hi, Art. So far, Patsy seems to be dead on and telling the truth. Can you please ask her the following two questions to test her? 1, is there any connection between Satan and UFOs or UFO abductions?
Well, Mr. Bell, I believe that we are, and I believe that Satan and we are all as a whole are descendants from a higher race of more intelligent and supreme beings that have, and I carefully use this word, evolved. We'll use that, evolved to a point of so far beyond our human flesh and bones and our puny human minds that, yes, I do believe that a lot of the abductions and UFOs are our creators, are our enemies, and I think these people, whether it be by the hands of God or by the hands of Satan, do have a right and do come to this planet to test, to experiment, and just see how far we ourselves have evolved mentally, not so much physically, but mentally. And if we are just to the point of preparing ourselves for the advancement of the human race to take us beyond the limitations that we have now, that where all the questions in the end will be answered when we can build that ship, that vessel that physically will be able to transport us across the galaxy, across the universe, to other worlds of a higher intelligence, and an evolution process that has taken those beings beyond the realm of the physical needs that we have.
All right, so your answer is yes.
In a degree, yes.
All right. And the second question is, since much of established Christianity considers Mormonism to be a cult, and its adherents already on the wrong path, why are you in Salt Lake City? Is there a connection between your master and Mormonism?
I think that a lot of the LDS faith is dead accurate on a lot of things. I don't particularly agree with them in the sense of proclaiming God as their eyes that governs their church. Right on their museum, I don't have no fear of this, right on their museum down there, they have a pentagram. Right on their museum. There's a lot of things in the LDS faith. When I came here, I came into a situation to where I lived with LDS people. I came here with nothing, Mr. Bell. I came here to prove how an evil person can go into a society, embed themselves into the working order of that society, and use and take total advantage to get what I needed to sustain myself. I joined the LDS Church because at the time I needed a place to live. I will do anything. But yes, the LDS people are pretty good people. I like a lot of what that they do out there and how they motivate themselves to financial gain and to motivate themselves to working and doing what it is that they do. Until someone in that organization comes to me and says, okay, what we are is actually a part of what you are, then I will shake their hands and help them fulfill their goals and fulfill their promises. But as long as they proclaim God, they are my enemy. As long as they proclaim Christ in the form that they see him as, they are my enemy. As long as they do that.
All right. He ends up after those two questions saying, tough questions. So far she's answered everything like a fundamentalist Christian. I'd be very curious to see if she continues to tell the truth or covers up two of Satan's greatest lies.
Mr. Bell, like I said, I draw the line nowhere. Satan's lies are Satan's truths. He must lie. He must be deceptive. He must have a diverse heart.
And so then must you as a follower.
That's exactly right. We have a saying, by any means necessary, and we don't use that as a loose phrase or a term or something. It is reality with us. By any means necessary. I have went into churches, like I said, I've been from coast to coast, and I have been to these churches, and I have sat in their congregations. I have become active in their churches without anyone ever knowing that when I went home, I worshiped the devil.
Why would you go to a church service? For what reason?
To lay seeds, to lay a foundation of evil. I take great pleasure in creating havoc in the life of a God believer in any form or any religion. I take great pleasure in it. Satan uses me that way. I have left where I sustain myself with virtually nothing, alone, with only my cunning and my diverse thoughts and my wicked tongue hitchhiked alone, young woman myself, alone, across this country on interstates in the middle of the night in order to spread unholy seeds. And I have effected, sir?
I just shivered. You have hitchhiked across the country spreading evil in what form, Harlot?
Lust, adultery, fornication. I take great pleasure in destroying a family. I take great pleasure in, like I did right here, take a Mormon out of his home and put him in my lair, grabbed him, sucked him in. He lost a child and a wife, and he's living with me now, and I take great pleasure in having him lay on my unholy sheets by me every night.
Is he hearing this?
He's in the war room, what we call the black room, right now.
The black room.
Mm-hmm, that's where we practice unholy arts. As a matter of fact, my entire coven is here.
Across America,
Mm-hmm.
Harlot, how many covens like the one that you have there exist, do you believe?
I believe that there are many, but I think a lot of them that they're not prepared yet to actually come out publicly. I think they live not so much in fear, but they're just not ready at that point in time to make a difference and to impact the area that they live in.
Why are you? Why are you coming out publicly? Why are you ready to say all of this?
Because I have a purpose, and my purpose has been let known to me in visions. My purpose, I am being primed for an ascension. I have a ritual coming up here before All Hallows Eve that is of the most unholy kind. The only victim in this ritual will be me. I am the victim. I will be alive. No, nobody's going to behead me, and nobody's going to do that. I will be alive. It is a part of my ascension. For years as a child, Art, I would cry in my bed at night. I would just cry in my bed, feeling sorry for the devil and what God did to him. As a child, I would wake up screaming in the middle of the night, hating God, virtually hating God for what he did to my master.
There are people, many, Harlot, who will say what you're saying represents not a religion, not a belief, not a worship of that devil that you say you worship, but rather a mental illness.
That's their prerogative. My parents, when I was 18 or 19, did take me for examination. They took me to many doctors and many things. I was hooked up to more machinery than what seemed like to my eyes anyway, than an auto body shop had. They did brain scans. They did different things on me and so forth and so forth and
so
on.
And what did they come up with?
Well, I walked out of there with no pills, no nothing, and, well, what the people told my parents was two things. It's something that science cannot grasp at this time, or she's telling the exact truth. That girl is not holy by any means. That's exactly what the doctors told my parents. It's on paper. My parents have it.
They took you to doctors. Did they take you to priests?
I eat them alive. I have walked into priests. I have sat and talked with them in conversations, and they know. They do not touch me. They do not pray over me. They just talk to me, Mr. Bell. They just talk to me, and we share feelings, ideals. We talk about reality with God, what's coming in the world, and Satan.
So you think, then, that you are, as we discussed earlier, that you are perfectly possessed?
Mr. Bell, in front of your audience, the millions, whatever are listening, Christ said something in his scriptures that I take to virtual heart, that Christ says, whoever denieth me before men, I will deny before my Father. I deny Jesus of my body and of my soul. And I deny him of a right to have any governorship over me, any authority over me. Period. I deny him the right of my heart. That way I will be assured that he will definitely, and I do everything in my power, each and every breath I take, I definitely want to be denied in heaven. I want the second death. When the numbers of the sands of their numbers are like the sands of the sea when they surround the encampment of the saints.
All right. Harlot, hold on. We'll be back to you. It's the bottom of the hour. I'll begin taking calls after this break because, believe it or not, I'm almost at a loss for words. Absolutely incredible. From the high desert, this is Coast to Coast AM. I'm Art Bell.
Now again, here's Art.
Once again, here I am. Good morning, everybody. I'm getting a number of faxes from people who say, Harlot is not this or she is not that. And frankly, I'm not qualified to judge what Harlot is or is not. And I can't imagine that too many people out there are, but they think they are. We're going to turn him, what I'm going to do is turn her over to you here in a moment. And we're going to see where this goes. She claims to be a witch, a follower of Satan. And so far, according to what she said, I'm accepting it at face value. It would seem to me that's exactly what she is. Although we will continue to explore, and I will continue to try to form an opinion, which I haven't fully formed yet. At this point, I take her words at face value. Once again, here's Harlot. Harlot, are you there?
Yes, Art. May I say something before we go to phone calls, please?
Oh, sure. I've got a couple of questions for you, too, before we do.
I understand. Thank you, sir. First thing, I want to make short and sweet. I don't care one bit what anyone out there in the listening audience feels about me. I really don't. I know in my heart what I am. I have only began to express my evil. I haven't yet even began. I welcome phone calls from anyone, but the one I want the most, and because only it is relevant, and that's either a priest or a minister of any faith who will get on with me and discuss these things.
Oh, I'm sure you'll get that.
Oh, that's what I want.
How about some Wiccans? You'll get that, too.
I like to have them, and you can give them my address off the air, and I don't care if they drive 8,000 miles. I'd rather have them face-to-face.
No, let's not do that. We'll do this on the radio.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
All right, a couple of questions. Okay. One, if Satan knows he will lose, even if he believes he is totally right and justified in what he's doing, then why does he not repent and be forgiven? Surely he is intelligent enough to realize he is fighting a battle he cannot win, and also super intelligent enough to realize that the famous quote by Milton, quote, it is better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven, end quote, is utter baloney. Even if he believes he